light. I see the vision, your future's bright. Oh yeah, yeah. I believe you can do anything. This is your life, your destiny. Oh yeah. And hold on to your dreaming and don't let go. Come on, yeah. And don't let go. There's something better for your life. You think about it every night. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And every time you have a dream, you believe you can do anything. Oh yeah. And hold on to your dreaming and don't let go. Come on, yeah. Oh, I believe in your dream. Yes, I believe in your dream. Oh, I believe in your dream. I believe in your dreams. In your dream. I believe in your dream. Oh, I believe your dreams. And hold on to your dreaming and don't let go.
Welcome to our annual meeting and Mazel Tov as we celebrate 70 years of this wonderful organization. 70 is an important number in the Jewish tradition, and it's significant for this particular institution. The psalmist, and actually Moses, in Psalm 90 says, Yemei shnosenu shivim shana. Our days are 70 years, and in strength, 80 years. So as first as we celebrate 70 years, it's definitely a marker. And we pray and hope that they continue to grow and have many, many, many years as a wonderful organization. So my blessings is that the institution should continue in its many, many years. Our blessings to the staff, the administration, the residents, patients, and all of you, that you should have arichas yomim, long life in health and happiness. Mazal Tov.
Good morning. I'm Michael Axelrod, Chair of the Board of Jewish HomeLife, and I want to welcome everyone to our 2021 annual community meeting. We had wished so hard that this meeting could be held in person. We waited until the last minute to make the decision to have a video meeting like last year. Through the magic of technology and the skills of a wonderful staff, I think we'll bring you a very memorable meeting as we have done before. And again, we'll pray that we can be together in person next year. Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate our leadership and our award winners, celebrate our accomplishments, talk about what's ahead for Jewish HomeLife, and finally introduce our new board leadership. Needless to say, the past 2 years were not what I expected when I became board chair, but I'm proud of our accomplishments and I'd like to share a few with you. Berman Commons, the Cohen Home, and the William Bremen Jewish Home each achieved Silver Quality Awards from the American Healthcare Association and National Center for Assisted Living. Prior to COVID, we had a full census and waiting list for most of our communities. When the pandemic hit, JHL immediately took action to protect both residents and staff, working around the clock and sparing no expense to get personal protective equipment and finding ways to engage our residents without the presence of volunteers and family members. Jewish Home Life helped the community by providing COVID testing and PPE to day schools and other Jewish organizations to help them reopen safely. Our successful vaccine program has resulted in almost 90% of our staff and almost 100% of our residents being vaccinated. We successfully merged the JHL and Weinstein Hospice Annual Fund campaigns. We received tremendous financial community support to help us navigate the pandemic. And a special shout out to Andrea Lippman, one of my fellow board members, who spent many hours over the last year acting as a fellow in the onboard program. As a result of her activities, we have received free consulting services and the opportunity for a very large matching grant. I'm so honored I had the opportunity to work closely with management and our board. First, Harley, it's been such an honor to work with you over the past 2 years, and I've enjoyed the personal relationship we've developed. I've been so impressed how you and your amazing senior leadership team that you put together have worked so hard to deal with the pandemic and the new normal it has created for Jewish Home Life. I'll miss our calls and emails. Don't be surprised if I check in every now and again just to say hello. To the staff, you've done amazing work. I wish everyone in the Jewish Home Life community could know just how incredible this group has been, from the senior leadership team all the way down to the frontline staff. It was true teamwork that led to the amazing results for our residents and the other members of our communities. And finally, to the board of directors. You have, during my 2-year term, executed your duties with the highest levels of commitment. You definitely rose to the challenge. You didn't expect your term would include a pandemic either. I can't imagine sharing these responsibilities with a more wonderful group of people. Your support of JHL during the pandemic has been exemplary, and I appreciate all the personal support I received. Personal phone calls, emails just checking in to make sure things are going well. All of that meant so much to me. I will cherish the relationships I've made with the members of the board. And now I would like to introduce Eric Robbins, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, to the podium to offer greetings.
I'm sorry I have to be with you this year again on Zoom, but I'm happy to be here with you. And I want to start off just by wishing everyone a Shana Tova, a year of peace, a year of health, a year of prosperity. Here we are again. We're still in these uncertain times, but let's not let the uncertain times get in the way of celebrating how well we did this past year in spite of unprecedented challenges. At the Bremen Jewish Home, you all have had more challenges than any organization in our network, and you handled those challenges incredibly. You modeled to the rest of us perseverance. You modeled to us excellence. You modeled to us putting safety and health first and taking care of the older people of our community. And we at the Jewish Federation celebrate being your partners in that. Our COVID emergency fund raised significant dollars. You were the recipient of a lot of those dollars to help you navigate these challenging times, and we are very proud of that. Our motto for our campaign this year is built for this, and that's exactly why we're here. And we don't just end it after COVID, we'll continue as your partners moving forward in the great work you do. So I know you have a lot on your agenda for today's meeting. I'll wish you the very best, and I'll say thank you for all that you're doing and assure you that the Jewish Federation and the rest of the partners in our community will be with you as you move forward into this next year.
The therapists here in the Aviv Rehabilitation Center are excellent. I was here as a patient on the 5th floor for 3 weeks, and then I went home for a while, and now I'm back in outpatient rehab. I feel so fortunate that we have a facility like this, and the therapists, they're so professional, and they know what they're doing, and they work you hard. They start off slowly with what you can do, because I came straight from the hospital, and built up my activities over the period of the 3 weeks. And by the time I went home, I was able to walk on a cane, no more walker, and And I progressed from there.
The dream of a Jewish home for the elderly began in the 1940s with a community advocate named Fanny Borstein. Her efforts to find homes for seniors revealed a growing need, which Borstein shared with anyone who would listen. No one wanted to believe the conditions we saw really existed, Borstein said, but her tenacious spirit soon turned businessman Frank Garson into as big an advocate as she was. In 1951, the dream of Fanny Borstein, Frank Garson, and other community leaders became a reality. If not for our community leaders 70 years ago, we would not be here today. This year, the Jewish Home turned 70, and we're celebrating our past presidents at our biannual gala on November 7th. I hope you can join us there. To achieve this history and to continue what was started takes great leadership. I've told you about our wonderful board, and now I need to tell you about changes that are happening. I would personally like to thank our outgoing board members, Steve Merlin and Joe Rubin. First to Joe, thank you for all you do, both as a board member and beyond. What is not widely known about Joe is that he does more than just his board member duties. He is also an integral part of any project going on at JHL that involves our buildings. From the construction of Berman Commons, to the renovation of the Cohen home, to the proposed renovation of Jewish Towers, Joe works closely with management and puts in innumerable hours. We couldn't do much of this work without him, and I know he will continue to be involved in JHL. Second, to Steve Merlin. It's hard to summarize all of the things that Steve has done for this organization. He has served as an incredible chair of the board and now serves as chair of the Jewish Home Foundation. Just as importantly, he is an ongoing source of great advice and an example to all of his colleagues of what a great board member should be. We will miss him on the board. Steve, just don't change your phone number or your email address without letting us know. On a personal note, I had the privilege of working with Steve professionally for 22 years. He was a mentor to me in my professional life and has been a mentor to me in my community life. I can't thank him enough for that, for getting me involved with JHL, and for being available when I needed his advice and support. Now I would like to introduce our two new board members. David Herskovitz comes to our board as chair of the Finance and Audit Committee. He's been a close advisor to JHL for many, many years and knows our organization well. David will bring his impressive finance skills to our board. Jeff Brickman is joining the board as an at-large member. I've known Jeff for a long, long time, and I'm very happy that he will be bringing his professional skills and his intelligence to our board. I welcome each of you and look forward to working with you in my role as immediate past chair. And now, I get to pass the gavel to our new board chair, Jeff Berman. Jeff, as you know, we don't have a gavel, but what I get to do is pass to you the incredible honor of becoming chair of the board of JHL. I've had the privilege of working with you closely for the past few years on the board, and I've had even the greater privilege of working with you over the past few months as we've prepared for this transition. To the JHL community, I introduce to you an individual with great intelligence, a wonderful leadership style, and tremendous wisdom. I know he will do a fantastic job. Jeff, you're taking over at a difficult time. The pandemic continues, but I know JHL is in great hands. One of the great opportunities of being chair of the board is the opportunity to select and present the Chair's Award. When I called Harley to tell him my choice, he instantly agreed that I had picked exactly the right person, Dr. David Remlin, who provided advice and support throughout the worst days of the pandemic and remains available today as needed by the staff. Dr. Remlin provided important assistance regarding infection control throughout the pandemic. When fear of vaccine was running rampant, Dr. Remlin was our expert to answer staff questions and help ease their fears. As an infection control specialist, he devoted many hours guiding our team. He provided the most up-to-date knowledge to us from government and medical organizations for best practices, especially as relates to long-term care. As you can see, Dr. Remlin was an essential part of our COVID response. He has and continues to serve on our Quality and Risk Management Committee, giving us advice before COVID struck. Dr. Remlin has an incredible resume. He graduated from Emory Medical School, board certified in infectious diseases, and is a professor emeritus with Emory Medical School. He has over 51 years of experience in the medical field. He served as Chief of Infectious Diseases at the Atlanta VA Medical Center from 1990 until his retirement in 2015. And prior to his retirement, Dr. Remlin has been a principal investigator, including investigation on numerous clinical trials involving HIV. It is truly an honor to present this year's Cheers Award to Dr. David Remlin.
Thank you for this prestigious honor. When I retired from academic medicine a little over 6 years ago, I never thought that I would have to learn about a new disease, much less how to prevent it in a large population. It's obviously been a very difficult 2 years, and unfortunately, as we can tell from this remote meeting, it's not over yet. Remember though, if we get our vaccines, use our masks, and use some common sense, we will get through this. Thank you again for this terrific honor.
Indeed, it is with great pleasure and meaning that this year's Founders Award goes to the inimitable, the good-natured, and possessive of always a positive spirit, Sam Kulik. As most of you know, the Founders Award was named after Frank Garson, the founder of the Jewish Home, and as president of the William Bremen Jewish Home, I established both the Founders Award and the Chairs Award in 1997. Sam is indeed in good company. But when you think of the word founder, what immediately comes to mind is someone who began something, usually through perseverance and hard work. Sam, along with Faye Siegel, founded the hospice, which was incorporated in 1999. Sam's involvement in the Jewish Home goes back to the 1970s when Roger Kahn, a past president also, asked him to get involved. Sam is irascible, he's tenacious, and yes, people have described him sometimes as even crazy Kulik. But Sam has a heart of gold. He does the right thing, and it's unbelievable what he did. Sam is still involved in the home. He is a lifetime trustee of the hospice. So Sam, come on up here. When we think of the Founders Award, we could not be more ecstatic and pleased to honor you. In fact, when I called Michael Axelrod to tell him my selection, he said, and I quote him, "Steve, you could not have picked a better person that embodies all the elements of what it means to be a founder." Sam, congratulations on being named this year's recipient of the Frank Garson Founders Award. And there's only one thing that I need to say. Just continue what you're doing, what you've meant to Jewish Home Life communities, what you mean to the hospice, and what you mean to this community for what you've done. Just continue doing it. Congratulations.
I greatly appreciate this prestigious award, and I'm honored and humbled to have my name added to the list of the previous recipients. I would like to acknowledge with gratitude the professionals and their staffs, the lay leadership of Jewish Home Life for the past 45 years. It has been great for me to have them to back me up anytime I needed them. And on an aside, and I want to be politically correct, I know I'm a difficult person. I do appreciate very much their patience for putting up with me all of these years. My first volunteer effort at actually the Jewish Home then was in the mid-70s when my brother Adolphus asked me to join him in preparing the residence garden, which was located next to the old greenhouse. It was a hot, humid spring day, and I showed up to do my work. As we worked through the day, plowing or tilling up the soil with our rototillers and adding amendments, and then eventually getting it smoothed out for the residents to plant in for their therapy. We had a bunch of visitors during that time. They never said anything, but they looked. As we finished our work, I was hot, sweaty, tired, sore, And as I made my way back to my car through the Jewish home, I was stopped by a number of residents and staff who all had smiles on their faces and said thank you. Well, that to me was my first lesson of doing good for those that can't do it for themselves. I immediately went and got in my car, and I really didn't feel hot, sweaty, or sore, or tired. I felt some sort of exuberance that I had actually done something that meant something to someone who couldn't do it for themselves. And I tried to carry that through all of my years of volunteering at Jewish Home Life. I want to share this award with the Weinstein Hospice and to a number of people that I'd like to acknowledge. Divine Milton Weinstein, their daughters Jill Weinstein Levine and Jan Weinstein Winston, for their dream, for their seed money, for their continued support of what we do, and the confidence that they have shown in the Weinstein Hospice to become Atlanta's Jewish hospice, and all the success that it has had. I hope that we have made your dreams come true. I'd like to also acknowledge for 22 years the professionals and their amazing teams of the Weinstein Hospice who have followed our dream and made our dream a reality of a Jewish hospice in Atlanta that is recognized as one of the best. To the volunteers of the Weinstein Hospice, what amazing work you do by giving so much compassionate care to our patients and families. And to the amazing donors, I probably called every one of you at least once. Thank you so much. Without your dollars, none of this would have ever been possible. To the lay leadership of the Weinstein Hospice over the last 22 years, what an amazing group of people. From the leadership to the board of advisors, I've never been involved in any organization that exhibits so much passion and follows our mantra of doing the best possible care at end of life for all of our patients and their families. I would certainly be remiss if I did not send out a shout out to Faye Siegel. She joined me on this journey in 1999, and it's been a very curvy road, but Faye, without you, it couldn't have been done. I think my last thank you is to my family for allowing me the time and support to do the work that I have done at Jewish Home Life. I have certainly received more from Jewish Home Life than I have given. It has made me a better person and it has enriched my life. I feel blessed and privileged to have volunteered at Jewish Home Life, and I know that I will continue to volunteer and do anything I can to help in the future. Thank you so very much.
First time I came here, it was like I hit the lotto. We are so happy. It was almost impossible for me to take care of her in New York because, I was myself had health issues. My daughter is extremely happy that, because she can see for herself and come here and see the care that is given. After the lockdown, it was very difficult. For almost over a year, she was completely in the dark, she was locked to the room, and even her health took some toll. But the Jewish Tower Rehab started giving her exercise. They gave her physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and get little, healthy. People at Jewish Home, all the CNAs and nurses, they have been extremely helpful, and she's taken care of very well. So we are appreciative for that.
The COVID pandemic shined a spotlight on the senior care industry and nursing homes in particular. Most of the general public was frightened by what they learned. 133,000 people died in U.S. nursing homes due to COVID. More than 1 in 5 of the nation's fatalities. The result is a lasting stigma plaguing organizations like Jewish HomeLife, that nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and home care companies pay low wages, are understaffed, and provide poor care. While the Atlanta Journal-Constitution shined a light on the poorest performers in our industry prior to the pandemic, COVID has brought these issues into focus as a national problem. So what is Jewish HomeLife doing to address these challenges? Last October, when the William Bremen Jewish Home was featured in local media about a COVID outbreak, we were certainly tested. Families were understandably upset. Team members feared for their safety. Our finances were deeply in the red. And donors and our board members worried about our reputation. We have come a long way since those darkest of days, but with a variant surging, we are mindful that any moment we could once again find ourselves vulnerable, even with the protection that the vaccine and our vigorous infection control provides. One of these donors recently contacted me and expressed concerns about the COVID-related deaths at the home, whether these deaths could have been prevented, and what safeguards are in place to prevent any other deaths. Some of you may have similar questions, so I will share with you some of my response. First, since the pandemic began in early 2020, Jewish HomeLife lost a total of 15 residents to COVID. All these deaths occurred between April and November 2020. No COVID-related deaths have occurred since that time, nor have there been any COVID cases with residents since early 2021, when the vaccine first became available. While this loss of life is truly tragic, we worked very hard to keep the number low, given the challenges we faced. Governmental regulations and medical recommendation changing almost daily, the scarcity of PPE, the forced isolation of our residents, and the monumental task of overcoming the fears of our staff so they would continue to come to work every day. We've come a long way since then, but during 2020 and much of 2021, it was frightening to come to work every day with the tremendous responsibility of caring for our community's most vulnerable. In the early days, I recall being on the phone in the middle of the night with one family member in China who worked for a large medical supply company and was able to ship masks, gowns, and other PPE when none was available for us in our own country. We negotiated on our own an agreement with a local lab to provide COVID testing to hundreds of our employees, and then we made this available with our nurses to the Jewish day schools and other Jewish agencies when they were desperate to have their teachers, students, rabbis, and other professionals tested. Many of our employees got COVID, and we paid for them to be out weeks at a time until they were fully recovered. Getting staff to work during this time was extremely difficult, since there was still no vaccine, and our team members understandably feared for their lives. The day we had our first vaccine clinic was one I will never forget. The hope emanating from our staff and residents was palpable. Watching our staff applaud and cheer as each of their colleagues was immunized, seeing the residents from the Jewish and the Zabin Towers waiting hours in line for a chance at normalcy. Going floor to floor with the pharmacists and nurses here at the home to vaccinate the remaining residents, knowing that had this vaccine been available months earlier, others might have lived. But outside of that, it is highly unlikely the lives which were lost could have been prevented. All our residents are quite frail, have multiple chronic illnesses, making them quite vulnerable to COVID, whether it was brought in by a team member or from another resident coming back from the hospital or a dialysis clinic or a doctor's appointment. Today, we have the vaccine and we use it generously. Jewish HomeLife can administer the Moderna vaccine to anyone over 18, including all new employees, new residents, and their families across our system. We have also offered the vaccine to our day school and agency partners, as well as the general public. The vaccine works, and Jewish HomeLife wants to help vaccinate Jewish Atlanta as quickly as possible. To that end, we are doing our part to prevent future outbreaks in our facilities by implementing a mandate all employees to take the COVID vaccine by October 4th. Currently, we have 90% of our staff vaccinated across our network, which is very high for the senior care industry. We also hope to administer boosters as soon as they are available. We will continue our other mitigation efforts, including monitor temperatures daily of all of our staff, mask requirements, and frequent testing for those with medical or religious exemption to take the vaccine. We will also maintain very stringent infection control protocols to ensure that our facilities continue to be clean, safe, and as welcoming as possible. The next year at Jewish HomeLife remains very challenging, but once again, I am very hopeful. We have learned so much this past year, and we will build on our 70-year track record of honoring our fathers and mothers. We will follow the science and continue to protect our residents and team members from COVID, attract and retain high-quality staff members in a very competitive job market, assure prospective residents and clients and family members that it is safe to live in our buildings and have our team members enter their homes, so we can help as many older adults as possible. We shall return to the necessary revenue we require to be a sustainable organization. And finally, we will regain the trust of any of our donors who may have concerns about the quality of our care and services. If COVID is contained nationally and in the Atlanta region, I am confident we will be successful achieving these goals for the following reasons. Most importantly, our team members. They are skilled, professional, and caring people who are dedicated to our mission. They demonstrated this commitment during COVID, coming to work every day when there was no vaccine, knowing they put their own lives and the lives of their families at risk being here. Thankfully, none of our 91 team members who acquired COVID during the past 18 months at JHL have died. I am inspired every day by their courage and their compassion. To address the challenge of recruiting and retaining employees, we have significantly increased our pay scale, paid sign-on bonuses, and have begun to provide career ladder opportunities for team members who wish to further their education and to advance their earning potential. We will continue to focus on all these areas because we know that Jewish HomeLife is only as good as the people who work here. Our donor community has supported the William Bremen Jewish Home and Jewish HomeLife for 70 years. During the past year, you contributed $3 million, a record for our organization. These desperately needed funds helped us pay our staff who are ill, purchase PPE and testing to protect our residents and team members, and absorb the operating losses caused by reduced demand for many of our businesses due to COVID. Our board of directors and advisory boards are filled with very intelligent, successful, and philanthropic leaders of our community who provide me and my management team with invaluable guidance and support every year. As president and CEO, I work closest with the chair of the board. I had the privilege of working with Michael Axelrod the past 2 years. Each of the 8 board chairs with whom I have worked the past 17 years have had their challenges, but Michael's tenure may have been the most difficult. I count myself very fortunate to have gone through the COVID pandemic with Michael as the chair of our board. Michael's calm, thoughtful reassurance and clear thinking was just what I needed when regularly speaking with him during the many times we spoke or Zoomed with each other during extremely and stressful days, weeks, and months. You are known by many, Michael, for giving so much of your time and philanthropy to help make us a better community. You certainly have made Jewish Home Life a better organization because of your tremendous leadership. Thank you for all you have done for Jewish Home Life and for me. I now turn the conclusion of our meeting to our new board chair, Jeff Berman. Jeff has been actively involved with our board for many years and, like Michael, has strong leadership skills and community ties, which I know will continue to help Jewish Home Life go from strength to strength. L'Shana Tova Tikatevu.
Thank you, Harley, for the brief introduction. I think it's important for me to tell you how I got here. Many years ago, driving in traffic like many of us in Atlanta do, I came across an elderly couple driving. And in prior years, I would become frustrated with them, going 15, 20 miles an hour, not sure where they were going. And it hit me one day. I guess I call it an epiphany. Maybe many of us have had it, that one day that could be me. And I hoped that people would respect me. The second thing was my mother passed away roughly 9 years ago after suffering from dementia for approximately 7 years. And then finally, I met Freddie Halpern. And Freddie brought me to Jewish Home Life, like many of us. That's the path I led to get to Jewish Home Life and to devote my energies to the goals of this organization. I am humbled and excited to be next in line for this wonderful, important position. Fortunately, the new board is extremely devoted, extremely business-oriented. So I believe that working with the board, we will be able to accomplish great things for Jewish Home Life. I want to thank each board member who is going to be spending a lot of time working on the board. I want to thank Harley, Jeff Gopin, and Neelam. I look forward to working with them and their staff. I think it's also important to thank all the volunteers that we have, all the employees we have, and I think also that spouses of all of the board members and management oftentimes don't get thanked enough for allowing those of us that do work at Jewish Home Life and that volunteer our time to be able to do that. I also want to thank all of you, the donors. Without you, this place, this Jewish Home Life, could not function and provide the services that we do for those that we serve. You have heard about many challenges that Jewish Home Life faces in the upcoming year. My hope and my belief is that next year at the annual board meeting, we will be celebrating how we met those challenges. I want to wish everyone a happy new year and a healthy new year. Thank you.